The trade deadline has come and gone for the Vancouver Canucks, and we have talked about their trades extensively. So let's get into the games that were played this week. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to This Week in CanucksLand, where we go over all the games from this past week for your Vancouver Canucks, starting off against the Dallas Stars, as this would be the first of two pre-deadline games that they would play. And this one... yeah. Canucks hockey this year, 2025-2026 Vancouver Canucks hockey, this is it. As the Canucks would start out with a goal with Evander Kane picking up the kind of rebound, would bounce right off of him into the net, and we would have a 1-0 lead. This one kind of defines Canucks hockey, though, as Adam Ernie would skate in, and he would put it off the end boards, and it would go off of Tolopilo and in. Just an unlucky goal for Tolopilo. 1-1, though, so it's still a close game against a really good team, but yeah, that wouldn't last long, as Leon Bichel would pick up a goal as he would be found in the slot. He would fire it in to make it 2-1, and then Duchesne would send it to Robertson to make it 3-1 on a 1-T. And then a really, really nice pass to Duchesne to make it 4-1. Blackwell would wait patiently, put it in, 5-1. And then Bichel would pick up another one, 6-1. Oh my god. There's a reason I went through the game that quickly, though, because all the other games were a little bit more fun, and this one was just like that much of a crapshoot. The Vancouver Canucks just gave up a lot of goals against the Dallas Stars in a game that was just like, what? Like, I didn't think it would get that bad. Like, I've known teams compete us like that, but oh my god, the lack of effort was not great, and it was just, we left Tolopilo out to dry, and it was just a not great game for your Vancouver Canucks. Luckily, we would move into a game, although we would still let in 6 goals to the Carolina Hurricanes. It would score more than one, as it would be more of a competitive game, as the Hurricanes would start off with a goal, as Jarvis would find Svechnikov in the slot. He would one-timer it in to make it 1-0, with the Canucks on a power play would tie the game, as they would make some nice passing, really, really nice passing plays, just kind of moving the puck consistently. I really liked it. It was a step up from what we've seen. You know, we want to see more movement on the power play, but if you're bang, 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 passing the puck as quickly as possible, you're getting the players moving, more lanes able to open up, and the more you move it east-west, the more the goaltender has to move, and then eventually one last east-west move in front of the net from Marco Rossi would go off of the stick of Jacob Slavin and in, and the Canucks would tie the game, and they would take the lead as Drew O'Connor would get the puck behind the net, set it in front. Phil Peronic would blast it in, and the Canucks would have a 2-1 lead against the Carolina Hurricanes, which was really nice to see. But this is where it all fell apart, just like that, like a part of the second period that just went so wrong for the Vancouver Canucks, and really what lost them the game, as the first goal would be like just a weird play where it was like pass and then to Taylor Hall, but it kind of bounced off his skate over to Sean Walker. Sean Walker would put it in, and he would tie it 2-2, and then Ehlers would whack it in, and then Aho would make a really nice play, batting it out of the air, getting it, and then go and make a nice backhand shot over Lankinen, and that's when we would pull Lankinen and put Tolopilo in. But on the first shot Tolopilo faces, it's Ehlers faking it, and then boom, putting it off the post. I think it was off the post and in, or just kind of, post side of Tolopilo and in to make it, what is it now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-2 for the Carolina Hurricanes. The Canucks would make it close, though, as they would make the same kind of play. Obviously different setup, but Rossi would try to send it over to Besser again. This time it would go through to Besser, who had a wide open net to put it in, to make it, now it's 5-3, and we would make it 5-4 as Hronek would send it to Pettersson. He would send it to Niels Hoglander, and he would fire in his first of the year. Oh man, finally Hoglander got on the board, and finally, shout out to Nuckhead, he gets to say Niels Big Hog Hoglander. Been waiting all season for Hoglander to score just so I could watch him say that. And this one is gonna all that energy, all that pumped up wanting to say it because he hasn't scored all year. This one's going to be a good one. But yeah, I'm really happy for Hoglander. Finally, he breaks through and gets one. And you know what? You put him with Elias Pettersson, good things happen. I haven't been saying it a lot on this channel, but I really like, once I saw that, I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. And you know what? My own thinking, because you could go back, I never put Hoglander. Oh, I don't know a spot for Hoglander. If we get a guy like Stenberg or McKenna in this draft, obviously we could fall to 3 and get Verhoff. But if we get one of those two, what do you want to see? A Niels Hoglander, Elias Pettersson, and Gavin McKenna or Ivar Stenberg line? Like, that wouldn't be too bad. Like, I feel like that would be a nice thing to try. I'm maybe not McKenna, just too much playmaking on that line. I know Hoglander, more of a finisher. Petey can be a good finisher. McKenna has a good shot, but McKenna's more of a playmaker. Same with Pettersson, but they also have the lethalness to score, so maybe it does work, maybe it doesn't work. I'm not too sure. I haven't done that much scouting on McKenna or Stenberg yet, even though I made a whole video on them. I got some things wrong in that video. I wish I could delete it, but I don't want to. But yeah, the Hurricanes would get one back, though, as Nikolai Ehlers, I don't think it was an empty netter. Oh, I'm forgetting it. Of course, you just saw it. Nikolai Ehlers scored, and they would win 6-4, but the Canucks put up a fight. It was actually a really fun game to watch, other than that one little bit where they let in a bunch of goals. The rest of the game, it was pretty competitive. Also, the first 10 minutes was just all Hurricanes, but the Canucks were able to hold on really nicely and only allow one, and then they would like start a push, and they would get 2 immediately in 42 seconds. I think it was 42 seconds. Yeah, it was just a really good game for your Vancouver Canucks, exactly what you want to see. But we would move into a game post-trade deadline against the Chicago Blackhawks with a new-look kind of Canucks team. I mean, Myers sat out for these 2 games. Kane sat out for the game against, I think it was against the Blackhawks he sat out, did he not? No, he didn't sit out against the Blackhawks. Kane sat out against the Hurricanes. And yeah, we would face off against the Chicago Blackhawks. They would start off with a goal as Ryan Donato would make a nice move to the backhand and put it in to make it 1-0 for the Chicago Blackhawks. But the Canucks would strike back as Drew O'Connor would pick up a goal as Tom Wielander would throw it in front. He would redirect it in to tie the game. And then Z Boyum would get a point as his shot at the point would be tipped by Jake DeBrusk in. 2-1 the Canucks. We have a lead. That's good. You know what? A 2-1 lead. We let in 2 more. It's a good competitive game. That's totally... a third goal has hit the building. As Teddy Bluger would get one, as Marcus Pettersson would skate in, he would find Teddy Bluger in front, he would redirect it in. All he's got to do is just a little tap. Just tap it in, and Teddy Bluger would score to make it, what is it now? 3-1 for the Vancouver Canucks. And then the Blackhawks would add one, though, as Ilya Mikheyev would absolutely rip. Of course, Ilya Mikheyev scores on us, but he would rip it in to make it 3-2, and they would tie it with Frank Nazar picking up a goal with a tip in front off a shot from Alex Vlasic. He would redirect that one home, and the Canucks and Blackhawks would be tied at 3 apiece. The Canucks would take the lead as Rossi would skate and he would lose the puck. It would go down to Linus Karlsson. He would throw it in front. It would roll off a Soderblom stick in the air, and Besser would baseball bat swing it in, and the Canucks would take a 4-3 lead. They would add 2 more empty netters, one from Mexisone and one from Brock Besser, picking up the second goal of the game, and the Canucks would win 6-3 against the Chicago Blackhawks in a really fun game to watch. Finally, nice to pick up a win. We've got 3 wins in 2026. You cannot be mad if the Canucks pick up a win, unless they start going on a winning streak, but obviously they're not really doing that right now with 2 big losses before this win. The next game was also close as well, but I'm still want to talk about this Blackhawks game. Fun watch, just like this is what we need. Just a nice pickup win where some young guys were involved. Z Boyum got a nice point. Wielander got a nice point. Sasson scored. Karlsson involved on Besser's goal. It was really nice to see. And speaking of young guys being involved, the next game against the Winnipeg Jets was a young guy city for the goals for the Vancouver Canucks, at least, as they would start off with a goal from Linus Karlsson, and he would skate in and he would pick the corner. What a shot from Linus Karlsson to make it 1-0. They wouldn't add another one. The Jets would strike back as off the face-off, Mark Scheifele would pick it up. He would kind of fake a pass, turn, and fire it past Kevin Lankinen to tie the game. But yet again, the Canucks, they just will never day sigh. They will never day sigh in this game, as Liam Ogren would pick one up, as it would be, I think, Linus Karlsson would try to throw it to Teddy Bluger. He would kind of get it be able to just get it over to Liam Ogren. He would one-timer it in to make it 2-1. But the Jets would have a really, really nice goal, I have to say. I missed it originally, and when I went around to make my game review earlier this morning, at the time of recording, man, what a nice goal. As Mark Scheifele would have the puck, he would send it down to Velarde. Velarde would go in front, try to swing it to the other side. Boom. Lankinen reads it, but boom, right to the backhand and in. And the Jets would tie the game 2-2, and this game would go all the way to overtime, meaning the Canucks did pick up a point in this game. And it would be Mark Scheifele involved on the play yet again, as Kyle Connor would drop it to him. Scheifele would find Morrissey for a one-timer, and it would go off Hronik's skate and in, and the Jets would pick up a 3-2 overtime win. The Canucks losing, but we got a point. I wish we lost in regulation. Like, all these overtime losses, like, I know 1 point, it could make the difference. It might not make the difference, but, like, I wish we would just lose in regulation when we get to those overtime games. But, yeah, that's it for the week. Honestly, my thoughts on it: 2 really bad losses, a nice fun win, which is exactly what we need, and a really close game against Winnipeg that I just wish ended not 5 minutes earlier, because we didn't go to a shootout. We didn't go to a shootout, but just a little bit earlier in regulation. I like the week overall. It was good. Next up, news. I went over all the trades and stuff, so I'm not going to go over that. And that's really all the news there is for this week. I also went over the waiver claim of Curtis Douglas, who I'm excited to hopefully see in the NHL soon. One of the card, whichever side it's on, you can go check out my podcast video from Friday on that. But yeah, that's about it for the news. Not really anything big there to talk about your 3 stars of the week. Now, we actually have some points for the 3 stars of the week. At your 3rd star, with 4 games played, 1 goal, 3 assists, for 4 points, it is Jake DeBrusk. Nice to see him picking up points. That's a guy that we need to start picking up points and starting to add a little bit more value back to his game. And hopefully for the offseason, the team is more willing to swallow. Although I don't think his cap hit is as bad as some of the other players that we would try to move. Swallow his cap hit for the term that there is. So it's nice to see him picking up a couple points. 4 point per game. Another point per game player, Filip Hronik, with 4 is your 2nd star of the week with 4 goals, 4 games played, 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points. Yeah, good week for Filip Hronik. Exactly what we want to see. It seems that he does want to stay, and I like it, because honestly, if the player wants to stay, that's totally fine. If the team's like, we want to keep the player, that's where you're like, go. But especially with the right-hand D market, how it is now, if Hronik is telling the team, no, I don't want to go, that's totally fine. Another good week point per game for him as well. I want to see him pick up points as well. I want to see him become more of a solidified like a good bottom of the barrel number 1 defenseman, but an elite number 2 defenseman, because oh my god, that trade package, if we do eventually move him and he's still at that caliber, it's going to be great. Your 1st star of the week, with 4 games played, having 3 goals, 0 assists, 3 points, and he had a 2-goal game. Brock Besser, just 3 goals, consistently putting goals in the net. It's nice to see Besser's back. Putting up goals is exactly what we want, especially with his contract being a tougher pill to swallow. Although if he does want to stay in Vancouver, just like with Hronik, that's totally fine, especially with how Besser is to the Vancouver Canucks and to the fan base. Although I don't like his contract, I really like the player, and this is the same thing with Tyler Myers. Just didn't like his contract, but I really like the player and the person. So yeah, it can't really be too mad. And it's always nice when he scores. It's always like a feel-good feeling whenever he scores for me. Not sure why, but next week, let's get into the next week preview. Monday. Today, time of upload, against the Ottawa Senators at 6 p.m., and then we go all the way to Thursday against the Nashville Predators at 7 p.m., and then the last game is against Seattle at 7 p.m. on Saturday. And yeah, 3 games next week, which is nice, a little bit more laid back than this week, where we had 4 games and a bunch of goals. There was 6-1, 6-4, 6-3, and then a nice little 3-2 game for us. But yeah, that is about it for this one. If you guys are a Canucks fan and you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a like and let me know down below what you thought about this week in CanucksLand. But yeah, the video on your right is the video from Monday, or from Friday. The video on your left is the video from Monday. Subscribe right down under there, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.